Welcome to the Esoteric Principles of Bodybuilding, and this is your host, actually co-host, Tyson Bannigan, with Batista Gramont, Master Body Designer, and we're getting her name right. It's only taken 13 episodes to get it right. And thank you for showing up for today's show. It's going to be an exciting one because today we're talking about the law of action creates attraction. So how about that? That's a twist. Never mind the law of attraction. We're talking about the law of action creates attraction. So, to launch this topic off, how did you come to this topic?
Well, because there's always a lot of intellectual information that we receive, and the law of attraction is with the launch of The Secret. Everybody talks about the law of attraction, and it's all in the thoughts, and we need to think our way, and it's all, and it's just a lot of intellectual knowledge. But really, let's face it, intellectual knowledge without action, what does it do? It just intellectual knowledge that stays in the mind. And as we discussed in past episodes, we suffer from a disease, and the disease is like being mental in the head, right? So when we talk about the fall of mankind, say, the mankind fell, what does that mean? Well, it means really that we fell from being heart-centered and coming from that heart place, and we fell into a mind space. So everything is mental now. And we talked about that, for example, even in the exercise, in the episode about posture, for example, like we lead with the head forward, and it's our thoughts that lead, so everything is connected. The spiritual world, the mental, the emotional, the physical, it's all connected. And when we become in alignment with it, and we take action according to the principles, the universal principle, the universal laws, then that's when we actually have the power to manifest our universe, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it comes from that centered place of being in an alignment emotionally, physically, spiritually, coming from the heart, and then taking action according to universal principles. Otherwise, it's all in the head.
I just had an insight, and that is in the Garden of Eden, and the snake being the wisdom or the knowledge, right? And banishing from the garden. In the garden, according to the story, there was the pleasure, there was the body, there was trusting the intuition and eating the apple that it was okay. And it took, getting our wrists slapped and getting booted out that really got us to fear our emotions, and that we feel safer somehow in our head. And we've denied those emotions that are really the body has messages to tell us, and we don't listen anymore. And part of what we're doing is really reactivating the messages, or listening to the messages from our body.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, that just takes me right to something that I wanted to talk about free will, right? Because we learn that we have free will, right? But what does that mean? Because, we create our world. Well, we learn that we can be co-creators to our universe, to our life, that we can manifest. And so that, to me, is free will, right? Okay, so I have free will, and now I can manifest anything I want or whatever. But there is a twist to this, and you just pointed it out, is that, in fact, let's talk about the emotions. Okay, so emotions are created by images that we have in our mind from traumas or things that happened in the past that have created chemical reaction in the body that have produced some type of hormones in the body, right?
Right.
So these are the emotions that we create. That how we, like we said, the nervous system is really in charge of the way we think, the way we feel, how we move, and everything, right? So now let's look at it a little bit further. When we have an emotion, something happens, and we hold on to that for a certain amount of time, then that emotion creates a mood. Now we are in a certain mood, right?
Yeah.
Something happened, we react to it, and it's like, oh, well, I'm in a good mood, or I'm in a bad mood, or this made me feel like this. But this all creates imprints in the brain, everything we feel. Now, let's say we're going to hang on to that emotion for, say, a few days. Okay, now it's not a mood anymore. Now it becomes a temperament.
Right.
It kind of gets more and more encrusted into the being, right? So
Yes.
now we just kind of become a certain way. But now say you hold on to that emotions for months, like we do, right?
Right.
A lot of people, like we do. So now that becomes your personality. That's how you operate. But the personality then creates your personal reality, right? So we function and we react basically unconsciously based on the nervous system that sends the messages, based on the memories that we recreate uncontrollably through our thought process.
Yeah.
And these are all the thoughts that we have. You know, the mind doesn't stop. It's just on, and I don't know. I wake up in the morning sometimes thinking about things of somebody that did something wrong, and all of a sudden I catch myself thinking, oh my God, I'm still thinking about this, you know. And these impulse in the brain, the body doesn't know whether it's real or not. Like it
Right.
doesn't know that this happened 1,000,000 years ago, right? When you get that memory, it's going to produce those hormones, and you're going to kind of recreate the same scenario over and over and over and over and over again. So in actuality, we are creating this virtual reality that we live in based on just uncontrollable thoughts and memories that are reproducing in our brain, for the most part unconsciously, for the most part, for most people.
Yes.
So how do we stop that? How so do we have free will? Well, no, we don't have free will unless we become aware of that, and now we take action. And we take action.
Must be God. Must be God.
God is saying, yeah, see, we are bringing awareness. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely. You know, most people, including, just a minute here. Sorry about this. So most people, and myself included, a lot of time are just on automatic pilot.
That's it.
Which is, you know, we are creating the world we live in, and we are all master creators. This is the thing that's so amazing. We're talking about, you know, the law of attraction. We're already masters at this. It's just like you said, we are just manifesting a lot of things that we don't want because we're on automatic pilot, running all of our programming that no longer works for us, right?
Exactly.
And so from that, it means that we are just consumed by our thoughts. So stopping all that, like just stop it already, stopping that cycle long enough to make a choice that we could choose something other than that. At that point, you're right, we have free will. Until then, we have no free will whatsoever.
Exactly. You exactly got the point. So let's kind of put things together from the things that we've talked about in the past. So last week we talked about ascension, and we talked about all the changes that the physical body is going through to shed kind of the old dense matter into that crystalline type energy that is in time going to constitute our physical body. So through these changes, our nervous system is going through a total overload. Okay?
Yes, absolutely. Overwhelmed.
Yeah, so overwhelmed. So now in the past, the tools that we have used, and we still use them, there's no question about it, that these are tools that will definitely help strengthen the nervous system and quiet the mind. And these tools, the first one is meditation.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's it. You meditate, you start quieting the brain. And so there is a lot of tools that we have had in the past that are helping us to take positive action to stop the wheel, right?
Yeah.
But now we are in a different time. Now we are a time of intense transformation, and the body is going through like this amazing overload of, like we talked about last week, remodeling, complete rehab. And so now it's when we need to really consider that and realize that there is more than we need to do to strengthen the body.
Yeah, so I guess part of what that means is that, like we talked about before, the whole grounding that comes from the exercise you do, particularly in the beginning, the first exercise is to ground yourself, is to allow you to take that emotional overload and take it out of your body.
Yes.
And that the physical exercise in the gym or the structural readjustment allows you to dump that energy so it's not in your nervous system. And then you can relax. And now you have the ability to be still enough to meditate.
There you go. So my point here is exactly, you see, a lot of times people go, oh, I want help. They come and they want help. Okay. But in actuality, when we say, oh, well, we have a system that can help you to do that, to strengthen, like exactly what you said, to strengthen your body, to relieve the nervous system, to quiet the mind, then the person is going on automatic pilot under the false self-limitation belief systems that we talked about based on these memories, and they go into the cycle, the wheel of, oh, I don't like the gym. I don't want to get bulky. I don't have any money. I can't do this. I can't do this. And the person a lot of times is not able to let go and open the door to look at the new possibility that is available because they're on the wheel, right?
Right.
So what is, how do we get them past that point into, yes, I realize that I am on the wheel and I can actually take some positive actions to participate and get well or go through these changes and put the odds in my favor that I will, that I will change and be well,
Right.
et cetera, et cetera. So there's that fine line where the person is not able to actually cross that bridge.
That's right. Absolutely. For me, I'm fortunate in that I'm a dowser, but you can use this in this technique in any situation. So I just say, can I tap into your energy field? And I can then tell them how much energy when they wake up in a day that they're going to lose because of trauma, unfulfilled emotions, not going to the gym or whatever. And then I can say, you know, and it's really shocking for the average person, 50% or more of their energy is going elsewhere. And so when you say to a person, how would you like to wake up in the morning and have twice as much energy? Or if it's 75%, how would you like to wake up and have 3 times more energy? All of a sudden people perk up, like they all of a sudden understand that you know where they are at. And then you're saying, okay, let's help you build a bridge from where you're at to where you want to be. But otherwise, you're right. People just go into this story about, oh, I don't have enough money, or don't want to go to the gym, or I don't like to sweat, or, you know, or whatever the excuses are. You know, it's strange because if your water heater explodes, you're going to pay for the plumber. And if it's $250 an hour, you're going to pay that bill. And you're going to gladly pay that bill because you need to get it done. But when it comes to us personally, some people just don't get the connection that, you know, you need to pay some money to get some help, and that's okay. And you're going to be a lot further ahead and feel a lot better as a result of it.
Absolutely. It's funny what you said about the water heater, because you hear the people say, oh, I don't have any money. And so, of course, we know that the law of attraction and all the universal laws that we talked about, we know that we have the power to create, and that vibration attracts vibration, and this and that. So when the person says, I don't have any money, then obviously, you know, they are attracting the lack. But then when you look at, they have a brand new car in the driveway, they have the new phone, they have the new gadget, they might have a big screen television. So it's not the lack of money or the lack of time or the lack of whatever. It's a false priorities, putting the priorities in the wrong place. Okay. Now, unfortunately, and that's happened a lot, and I feel that it's important to mention this at this time, because I've been on this journey with Stephen, Dr. Fitness USA, for 10 years now. And a lot of times we see the person and we can kind of, because, you know, I'm intuitive, so I can kind of see where they're at. And like you're saying, with the dowsing and the pendulum, you can actually tell them, you know, where they are at in that way. But because of the tools that we have, or the intuitive faculty that Stephen has to look into the body, we can actually see, when we look at their body, we can kind of see where they're at emotionally, where their strength is at physically, and we can kind of gauge that. And a lot of people that come to see us, their physical strength is down at least 70%. Okay. So if we can, and what happens is, if we can get them to take that leap of faith to actually get into the gym and start doing the program, then what happens is, because of what you said, the power of the grounding, the power of the strength, that the internal strength that they are going to get, is going to immediately quiet the mind and give them a sense of empowerment internally, that is going to quiet the nervous system and start putting things into an alignment. So when that happens, then it's a victory, because then we know that they're going to continue. Sometimes it's just really hard to get from that point, you know, that point, like, okay, I have faith and I can, and I will do this. And that's where the title of this episode, that action actually attracts attraction, because we always think that we have to think first and then we're going to create our reality. And that is true in a sense. We talked about that. But some people, you know, it's when your nervous system is on overload, the thinking process is not right. You kind of frazzled, right? It's like
Right.
putting too many wires on your electrical box, and then the fuse is going to blow. But starting to take positive action, then that will start to create a domino effect of where things will start falling into place. And that is kind of like the story, and why it is actually very important to work with a mentor or somebody that can actually lead you in the right direction. Because, people can say, oh, well, I understand that I have to strengthen my body. I got the message. I understand that I need to meditate. My thoughts create my thoughts are creating my reality, but I walk and so I'm doing fine, or I swim. Okay, so I'm going to give you an analogy. We brush our teeth, right? You brush your teeth.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah.
I hope so, right? So I don't know about you, but I personally don't get really that turned on by brushing my teeth. Okay, I mean, it's not like something I say, oh, I can't wait to go brush my teeth. Okay, I do it because we know that if we don't do it, our teeth are gonna fall off. But now you go to the dentist and now you have a cavity or something, and the dentist says, well, you're brushing your teeth, but are you flossing? Oh, well, yeah, I'm flossing. How are you flossing? Okay, so now they explain to you how to do it. So now you go, oh, well, I realized that maybe I wasn't flossing properly. I was just going like this, and I realized I have to go more around the gum, So now you realize that your flossing technique was not that great, and so you got a cavity, or you didn't floss, and now you have bone loss. Okay, so you're brushing your teeth, but you're not flossing. So it's great that you're brushing your teeth, but if you're not flossing, you're still gonna lose your teeth. Okay, so
Right.
let's talk about fitness. Oh, you're walking. Oh, that's great. Are you strength training? No. Okay, well, you're missing the number one scientifically proven tool to strengthen your body. It's like it's like you're brushing your teeth, but you're not flossing. See, it's a whole thing. So I give you an example. We were at the gym the other day, and we are meet this woman. She's in her late 60s, and Steven spots her because she has beautiful legs. Okay, so he always looks at you, whatever. So we start talking to her and said, wow, you have really beautiful legs, but her upper body is like, cellulite and so we ended up talking to her, and she knows everything about strength training because she started strength training when way back then in the late 70s, and that's when women didn't know about strength training. She was strength training, and she was doing squats, and so she maintained her nice legs. But then as we continue to talk, she says, well, now I'm older and I don't want to do that anymore, so now I just walk, or I just take the classes. And I said, oh, well, that's interesting, because that as you turn 40, it's more important to do strength training, because that's when you have the muscle loss. Oh, yeah, but my life and this and the excuses and the excuses. And then she says that. She says, oh, and besides, I have osteoporosis.
Uh-huh.
And I say, oh, you have osteoporosis? Well, do you know that osteoporosis is reversible? And she says, no, I don't know. And I said, yeah, and do you know what is the number one method to reverse osteoporosis? And she looks at me and she says, oh, strength training, I guess. And I said, yes. And she says, well, I don't understand, though, because I did strength training my whole life, and I only stopped like 10 years ago. so why do I have osteoporosis when I did it my whole life and I stopped? Do you see the logic?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, I brushed my teeth until I was 50, but now I didn't brush my teeth for 10 years and now I'm losing all my teeth. It doesn't work like this, you see. So people, what people don't understand, okay, is that it's a lifestyle. It's a journey that you take, you start, and then you continue until it's the last day of your life. You have to do it forever. And this is why it is so important to get the education that you need so that you can be self-sustained and that you can actually do it for the rest of your life. And this is how you can continuously, day after day after day after day, continue to take the actions to make the changes that are necessary. Do I make sense?
Yeah. So the question then for me is that, okay, when it comes to strength training, and there's a certain, methodology that Dr. Fitness USA has figured out that's, tailored to each client's needs, because he takes a look at the body and the pictures about, how the body is or isn't, and looks at what sort of exercises the alignment needs to happen, and to bring the emotions into, into accord with the strength of the body. Now, what's the length of time that it takes for a person to understand the full technique and the exercises that one would need to do, so it can become a lifelong habit? Or do they need to be working with you for the rest of their lives?
Okay, so the idea is that they're not needing to work with us for the rest of their lives, because the programs are educational. And that's a good question that you asked. And it depends of the person. It depends of how far gone they are, how much brain muscle connection they have lost.
Mm-hmm.
It depends of a lot of things. It depends of the genetics. It depends of their lifestyle. And there are people that in just a few months, a few weeks, learn a whole system that they continue to use, and they have the proper technique, and they're
Right.
at their maximum weight, and so it really depends. Now, having said that, though, it's kind of like tuning up a car. Even a person is doing really well and they're on their own, it doesn't mean that in a year, 2 years, they might not come back for a tune-up.
Yeah, absolutely.
You
Or
know
it's
what I'm
like a
saying?
race car. If you have a race car, it's not that you tune it up every 6 months. You tune it up every time you take it to the racetrack. So, it
And
depends.
exactly. And it depends also, like you said, where the person is at, what they want to achieve. Like me, I'm very grateful and very privileged because I'm the car dealer's wife. You know what I
Right.
mean? So,
Right.
so I get my program tuned up and revised like every day, or every time I go to the gym. So that's something it's a treat. And, I pay the price too, right? Because, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't come free, right?
No.
I work on this computer 15 hours a day sometimes, putting things together and whatever. So it's not really free. But we have students, that we have they come in and they learn the program, and they learn it in a few months, and then once a month we do a tune-up, and they are on a follow-up system where we just once a month we review what they do. And other people, they come back once a year. So it really depends, and I think that also, personally, when you have mastered a skill where you feel very comfortable, and that you are doing all the exercises with ease, and it becomes easy, and you are feeling that weight, that internal strength. And so there is a real internal feeling that comes, that you go, whew, that really feels good, and you kind of feel like you can now sustain it on your own. And for us, when we see the homework that comes in and where the person is at with their weights, then we can also start seeing if the person is ready to fly on their own or not. Because when there is imbalances in the program, then we already know that there are issues that need to be resolved, So that answers your question.
Yeah. So, for example, if they're good at grounding, but they're not good at upper body strength, then there's a disconnect that you need to help them to bridge that, to get the neuromuscular connection between the brain and the muscles in the upper body needs to be strengthened. That it's not getting the message in the right way.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So to come back to the law of action and the law of attraction, when you become aware, that's the first step. You have to become aware of that lack, that space where you are on the wheel, and you have to be ready to make like a decision to break the wheel. Like, for example, if you put your hand and you get electrocuted, like water with electricity, you're holding on and then you can't let go, right? It's like, you're like stuck like that, right? So the only way to release that is to shut the power. And so it's the same thing for what we're talking about. The strength training gives the person the tool to actually kind of shut the power and get that release where they can start being able to make rational decisions rather than emotional reactions based on the chemical reactions in the body.
So does that mean that's part of the neural network is actually frozen, like the power is on too strong, so the muscles are frozen, or the disconnect between the weight and the brain, and therefore they're frozen, the message isn't getting through, so they're weaker in that area, or they just can't get the body response to know whether it's moving or not.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So through this process, we actually reconnect the dots internally, the system. Think about it. When we say, oh, we're only using 10% of our brain capacity, right? That's kind of like what we say. Okay. But I want to add to this. We're only using 10% of our physical ability, because most people walk around with bodies that are not developed. They don't know that the muscles that they have atrophied for lack of use. Okay. And when that happens, exactly what you're saying, the connections, the internal connections gets broken. The blockages. So when you start rebuilding the muscles internally, the synergetic muscles around the spine, you start realigning the posture, you start breathing so that you can actually process the energies in and out of the body, release the energies, and you start working internally through this process, then your brain wakes up, you create new chemistry in the brain, literally create new chemistry in the brain. And now you are able to begin to take some proactive action in the rest of your life, because everything affects everything. When you can recreate a behavior in the gym, like grounding, staying in the moment, connecting the yin yang internally, all these things that we talked about, when you consciously start doing this in the gym environment, that will now transcend the gym environment and becomes habits that you're going to start using and following in the other areas of life.
Right.
Starting making better decisions, creating boundaries, saying no, learning to say no to things that are destructive, versus just having emotion reaction and staying in the wheels. So to me, that is the law of action that is actually creating attraction, because now we have free will.
So I have a question for you. I mean, a lot of Mr. Muscles in the gym, they seem to be getting, from my limited perspective, carried away, that they're so busy building muscles that the neurological connection between the brain and the peptides of feeling good and the muscle strength that they have is, in some ways, in my mind, is going too far. It's almost like they're on an addictive cycle that they can't stop. They want bigger, fatter, rounder, smoother, larger, gigantic muscles. So I guess in this whole scale, we have to, that there's an overboard too in getting addicted to the chemicals in our body that make us feel good, that we don't want to get caught into that trap of just being the world champion necessarily in muscle building. Not that that's not a bad thing for some people, but
it's like
in
this.
The gym that people tend to get carried away.
Yeah, so it's like this. Everything needs to be in balance. It's like every time we make every time we lose the balance and we get obsessed about something, then that creates an imbalance, and that goes into the addiction category. And that's not what we want. We want to create balance. I don't think you can never have enough positive neurochemicals going through the brain. I mean, I don't think you can never have enough. Who doesn't want to feel good, right? But it depends of the motivation. And also the bodybuilders, a lot of times in the gym that you are describing, they are most likely on drugs. That's how they get so big, and that's how they get that aggressiveness. Most of the bodybuilders that are not on drugs, that are natural, yes, they can be obsessed about the physique or whatever, which we're not obviously doing it for that reason. We are doing it for health, for emotional stability, and in the sense of working with the light and ascension and all this, then we're doing it for that purpose. Okay, but we take that away, just bodybuilding as a sport. The bodybuilders that are natural, that are eating healthy, and that are not, they're still obsessed and wanting to look good or whatever, but there's a whole different energy along with those type of people than the one that are, on drugs, and that's a whole other story,
So you usually mentors, and your job is to help people find this balance and stay in that balance. And so it's really important for you to communicate to those out there that are listening to the series about what sort of things that should they be looking for in a mentor if they're going to consider going back to the gym, or even if they're in the gym. I'm thinking of that Facebook post that you have where the guy, is your trainer beating the crap out of you? That sort of thing. If you feel that you're being pushed in the wrong way, or you just feel that this is too heavy-handed, or if you're wanting to go back to the gym and you're not sure how to do it, then how do they make rational, good decisions about being mentored?
So the first thing that a person needs to do is they need to look at the track record of the person they want to hire, because there's a lot of fad techniques and fad, come here today, gone tomorrow. And a lot of people have answers to the body of your dream in 90 days and whatever. And that's not what we're talking about. You have to look at the track record. You have to see that the method or the principles that they are using have been around for a long time, so that you can see that, it's just, so it has a proven record, right? Because if you look at Stephen Hersey, Dr. Fitness USA, he has literally over 55 years track record of transforming people's lives and people's bodies. And you can see the people that are still following the principles and the principles and the training are actually looking better 30 years later, now in their mid 60s, that they were when they were in their 30s. So that's something to really look for, is the track record, and also understand that not every fitness program, not any strength training program is created equal. In our case, we have a real system that is based on proven principles, as we talked about, which are based on universal laws, and that is something that you have to also look into, because if you're doing it for the purpose of enlightenment and really getting aligned, getting your physical body aligned with your spiritual, emotional, mental bodies, then understand that not every fitness program and then every trainer is going to even know
Understand
anything
all that.
about that.
I think the other thing
besides, let me just finish my train of thought. Yeah, and besides, understand that a personal trainer can get a personal training certification over the internet in a weekend. So you know what I'm saying? Don't believe everything everybody is telling you.
I think the other thing that's so unique in your system is that it's tailor-made for the client. This is not a boilerplate, off the shelf. Everybody does the same program. This is tailor-made depending on where you are in your growth, so to speak. What's working, what is your body in balance or out of balance? Do you have upper strength without having lower strength? All those sort of things are taken into consideration. So that's another good reason why you're so unique, is it's tailor-made for the client.
Exactly. So I don't know, I know we are 45 minutes into the show. I did have in mind that Stephen could say a couple of words.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay, let me get him. Stephen, can you? Okay, he's gonna come in a minute. So yeah, I thought that for our last show that we could have Dr. Fitness USA himself say a couple of words about taking action the way he sees it, because he has a very specific way of expressing himself, as you know. And so here he is. Not too long. We're running out of time.
Okay. Okay, I think
Hi,
I'm
Stephen.
on. Okay, can I hear you? Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you just fine.
Okay, well, welcome to the show.
It's good to have you back, Stephen.
Is there a doctor in the house? Of course, Dr. Fitness USA. So let's look at what's transpired. Tyson, I want to use you as an example, because there's two reasons why a person would do my program. One is that they have a better, they just have a better mindset to be a better person, and they're teachable. That's the only qualification. So what's transpired is that you've had 13 episodes. Well, let me back up a bit. When I talked to Tyson, yourself, there was something in my conversation that triggered you to maybe see an aha moment that there could be something to what I was talking about. So we fast forward, and you're now at the gym under impossible circumstances, and you're really feeling the power of what strength training does. So now you've done 13 episodes. So in each episode, it's been extreme detail of how profound bodybuilding can be in one's life, and how it can transform 360 degrees the power of who you are. So I want to know how many people in the audience are now going to take action, or they're still sitting on their duff thinking about it. Because it's only when you take action that you're actually going to wind up in a gym with the greatest mentor in the world right now, which is Batista. And we've had tremendous response where people actually signed up, so there's only a few spots left. So after today's episode, I want to see how many people, whether it's men or women, are actually going to take action. Because there are people that actually work out, and there's actually people that don't work out. And from my experience while being in the gyms, the people that usually go into the gym are kind of like brain dead. They don't have any education of what they're going to do in this particular environment that they want to work on their body. In fact, most people are in the wrong environment because there's no tools to actually work on their nervous system or work on their posture. So you know the saying, if your mind can conceive it and your heart can believe it, then Dr. Fitness can help you achieve it. So the thing is to pick up the phone and to place a call where we can actually call you back. Maybe it's Batista or myself, because the best way to get information is to ask a question. If the person says what's not working for them, or they ask a question, then we men can use our world's knowledge to answer them. If they don't have any questions, there's nothing to do. Like we were at a meeting on a ship, networking event, and the woman comes along. She looked like she was nicely dressed, and she says, "Oh, Dr. Fitness, USA." I said, "Yes." She says, "Oh, I have a personal trainer. He's okay. My personal trainer's okay. I love my personal trainer." Okay. Now the next person I sit at the table, and she has an executive position. She's very nicely dressed. And I say, "I'm looking for women to empower each other. I'm an international body designer." She says, "Oh, I do the orange method. I don't want to talk to you." Okay. Now this is quite amazing because the woman is doing an aerobic activity and she's 40 pounds overweight. Now, you know, in a networking, man, it doesn't matter if you're interested. You're supposed to get information so that there's somebody in your life that might be able to use it. But
Right.
people that don't actually exercise in a focused way are living inside their head and causing their body to age prematurely. And it actually affects their relationships. And it's vice versa. It could flip-flop either way with men or women. So the conclusion is the greatest opportunity. Well, one is I want to thank Tyson for being the greatest host and creating the platform to give out the information so your audience can take action and create more harmony in their life based on what they've heard through the 13 episodes. You see, with the mentoring, they'll get a chance to review things with Batista and see how they can waltz with their program in an environment that they can't wait to be exposed to each week.
That sounds great. So, Stephen, what's the phone number? Just so I can type it in.
It's 424
Just
245
424
245 6560.
Yeah.
6560.
6560.
Yes,
Okay,
424-245-6560, and it's doc@drfitnessusa.com.
Okay.
You have to put
There you
USA.
are. Dr. Fitness USA. So there you are, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it from Stephen. No excuses. If you want to feel good, if you want to rediscover your connection to your body, then this is the man that can help you do that. You'll feel better. I guarantee you it. I certainly do. So no excuses. Just phone this man and show up in the gym. Change your life. It's just that simple.
Another thing is, you know, in an email, they can actually schedule a conversation with me. And what they can do is they can actually write down what they're doing in the gym, and then we can review it, and I can tell you them exactly where they're at.
That's great too.
Now, you can't beat that. That's $500 an hour free.
So there you are. You're offering a free consultation.
Yes.
Through email. You just have to get hold of Dr. Fitness USA, and tell him what you're doing in the gym. There you are, Dr. Fitness USA, and he'll be able to give you an overview of where you are and where you could go.
Wonderful. So if your mind can conceive it and your heart can believe it, then drfitnessusa.com can help you achieve it.
All right. Sounds great. All right. So drfitnessusa.com, you know how to get to them, or phone this number, 424-245-6560, and have a conversation. Well, Stephen, thank you ever so much. It's been a pleasure having you on this series, you and your wife. And hopefully we'll just be able to change a lot of people's lives for the better.
Beautiful. Have a blessed day.
All right. Bye for now.